From RTV6 Sports, live at Palomino Restaurant downtown, this is Horseplay.
Yeah, we're live from Palomino downtown. It's lunchtime, and why not celebrate the Colts win with a cold one? How about a Guinness? Even Arnold Palmer, if you will. And guess what? They're in the Halloween spirit. Pumpkins and Colts pride this afternoon here at Palomino Restaurant for Week 5 of Horseplay here on the IndyChannel.com, the RTV6 app as well. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome once again, Week 5 of Horseplay. Jim Sorgi, my favorite number 12 all time for the Indianapolis Colts. All time for the Colts, joining us live once again. We're kind of dividing and conquering this because Mike Chappell with the IndyChannel.com, he is at the Colts complex right now because the Colts players are all available to the media. They're already looking ahead to Thursday's game against the Houston Texans. Quick turnaround. We'll get to that in a second here as well. Brad Brown's going to Skype in here in just a bit as we look ahead all of a sudden to Week 6 in the NFL. So did you recover from a typical Colts-Ravens game yesterday? It's black and blue. It's brutal to watch sometimes.
It really is.
But you get the W.
You get the W. It's a grinded out. It's a battle back and forth. We have chances to really push that game out of reach so many times that we don't get it done. Another couple red zone turnovers that really hurt us at the end of the game. But that's what you expect from that kind of a game. It's just, I'm glad we got it at home because I do think the Ravens were a better home team than a road team. We end up getting the win, but obviously things to work on. But as long as we got out of that game healthy, we can travel down to Houston and play this AFC division matchup game for first place healthy. We'll be in good shape, and I think this matchup this week is in our favor.
I blame the whole bizarreness, and I said this last night on Sports Extra, I blame the whole bizarreness of the game yesterday on the fact that Robert Downey Jr. was in town over the weekend.
He just shakes it all
out, shakes it. Well, I don't know about Iron Man, but it takes an iron stomach sometimes to watch the Ravens and the Colts. You get it done. Hey, the league, let's get right to it. Of course, the Colts get the W yesterday at Lucas Oil Stadium, 2013. Both teams are now 3-2. We'll talk about Andrew Luck here in a second, but this one really was won with defense yesterday. Bjorn Werner, 6 tackles, 2 sacks. Sergio Brown, 3 tackles and a sack as well. Turnovers yesterday. Ravens had 3, Colts had 4, which Baltimore only turns into 3 points. That's key. 4 turnovers and a W. First time it's happened in 14 years. Jim.
Yeah, it's not going to happen very often. And this was really a Ravens team that doesn't turn the ball over. I mean, they were +1 in the turnover battle, but it's because they weren't getting turnovers and weren't turning the ball over themselves. But you look at the defensive effort. I mean, the Ravens were 1 of 11 on 3rd down. That's 9% we held them to.
Yeah.
We held them to less than 100 yards rushing. Normally they rush for 135, 36 yards on the ground, which is like 8th in the league. So they didn't do that. They weren't able to put the points on the board. I think they're averaging right around 21 points a game or something. But then getting after Joe Flacco, this was a Ravens offense that had only given up 3 sacks against some pretty good defenses. The Cincinnati Bengals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cleveland Browns, and Carolina Panthers. And then we get after them and we get them down on the ground 4 times yesterday.
I mean, Bjorn Werner had 2 of those 4 sacks. With Mathis out, somebody's got to step up.
Yeah.
Neither Walden nor Werner are going to really,
blow your mind
out. Okay, but if you get an opportunity like Werner had yesterday against a backup left tackle in James Hunt from Plainfield, you got to take advantage of it. And Werner, I thought, was excellent yesterday.
He's been in those positions all season. He's been really close. He's going to make those hustle plays. He's always hustling. He's going to play from sideline to sideline. The first 4 games, he was getting there. He was so close. Yesterday, it just kind of came to fruition, and he was able to get his hands on Joe Flacco and get him on the ground. And we had an opportunity for a 5th sack. Jonathan Newsom had Joe Flacco wrapped up, and he's so strong at 6'6", 245. He's able to get the ball to his check down, and it turns it into a big play. But we created pressure through our blitz packages, through our stunts and line stunts and all that stuff. And Greg Minuski really had a great defensive game plan where he used defensive personnel groupings. At times we had 1 defensive lineman on the field with 4 linebackers and 6 defensive backs, bringing pressure and getting there. And that's what happened on Vontae Davis's interception play.
Let me ask you this before we get to Mike Chappell live at the Colts complex. Let me ask you this. What can Sergio Brown do for you?
Well, I think if you He's going to add depth to this team.
Yeah.
He can cover, he can run. He got the big sack, he got the big pass breakup, but there was a play where the Ravens had 4 receivers to the left side of our Colts defense. The running back goes in motion all the way across the field, runs a flat route. catches the ball, he ends up making that tackle exactly where he catches it instead of letting him run and get a first down. That was a big play in the game. They used him in blitz. They used him in pass coverage. I think if he can emerge as that guy that can really cover down the field, him and LaRon Landry can be almost a tag team player, so to speak.
You can almost ask the question, as I'm sure fans did as they left, LaRon who? You know, Sergio played that well. Now, can he sustain that over the next couple of games? I guess we'll find out.
Well, I think Sergio can add, he can blitz. He can come after the quarterback. He can play pass coverage. I don't know if you want him in there as a box-type player.
Right.
That's a LaRon Landry size type of guy.
Right.
So it could be one of those things where they use him on and off in certain defensive situations. If it's a pass coverage situation, maybe you see more Sergio. And if it's more of a rundown situation, maybe it's LaRon.
We're sitting here having coffee. You're having a cappuccino, a frothy cappuccino here at Palomino. Our pal Mike Chappell is actually working hard at the Colts complex right now. He just wrapped up interviews with all the players. We bring in Mike Chappell now live via the phone lines here at RTV6. And Chap, what were the guys saying here as they now have a quick turnaround to start looking ahead to Houston on Thursday night?
Yeah, they're all talking about how you deal with a quick turnaround, and it's as Jim knows, football players are all about routine and the 7-day life cycle. You put one game behind you, and then you have Sunday night to enjoy it, and Monday to sort of get the kinks out and look ahead a little bit, come into the complex and kind of look ahead. Tuesday day off, and then Wednesday you really dive into it.
Right.
Well, now everything is just it's condensed, and you really have to put that out of your mind. Because I think the more you talk about it, and that's all we talked about in the locker room really for the most part, is how do you deal with it. If you're not careful, you make it more of a distraction than it is. It's going to be difficult. I mean, it's a level playing field for both teams, although the Colts are on the road. But it's one if you let it be more than it is, then it's really a big mountain to climb. These guys have done a really good job. They've got a great record on Thursday night. It helps to have a really good team when you're doing that, but I think they'll handle it pretty well. And this is a huge game to get a foot up on Houston by beating them on the road would be a huge step in the right direction for this team.
Let me ask you this. Who talked during the 1 hour availability at the complex? What'd you get out of it?
Well, we talked to Corey Redding. We talked to Greg Tiller, Darius Butler, people like that, DeQuell Jackson. And again, it was just, how do you physically and mentally deal with this? And it's hot tub, cold tub, massage, and all this kind of stuff. And somebody joked that, will people be taking numbers to get in the cold tub? And it's funny. Cody Fleener apparently is not a fan of the cold tub. He said that's why he went to California to play football from the Midwest. So everybody's got their own way of doing it, and they'll find a way. They'll get out there, and by Thursday they'll be ready. And it's probably tough on the coaches as well because you've got much less time to put your game plan in. And it was interesting. One thing Matt Hasselbeck said, Matt Hasselbeck said he won't have any trouble with his body getting ready for the game. He didn't do just a whole lot yesterday. But he said a lot of times when you have these short weeks, it forces you to simplify your game plan a little bit, but sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was always fresh for those short weeks as well when I played the game. But, Chappie, I wanted to ask you.
Wait. That clipboard is always a little heavier, though, in the Thursday night game,
I was a little sore at the bicep, but a couple days that soreness was gone. Now, I did want to ask you, Chappie, being around the complex, seeing some of the guys walk around, I know we didn't have a whole lot of injuries coming out of that game yesterday. Did you see anything else today, maybe bumps or bruises that we'd be worried about a guy not being ready in a short amount of time to travel to Houston?
Great question.
No one really saw in the locker room. We saw a couple of guys who limp around, but they limp around every day. You wonder how they play on Sundays because they get that little hitch in their walk. But no, nothing of any substance. I don't think there was anybody of concern yesterday at the game. I would think that the short week might make it difficult for Jack Muir to come back and play. Art Jones, I'm not, we'll get a better idea with Chuck Pagano today, but I think guys that are dealing with injuries, it might be make it more difficult to come back and play this week. But I'd be very surprised if you were ready to play for Art Jones. But I don't remember anybody leaving the game yesterday with an injury. But as you know, Jim, I mean, there are things that go on in games. A guy will tweak an ankle and you play through it. And then maybe that night it kind of flares up on you. But
they pop
I didn't
up.
notice anybody out of the concern.
I thought it was interesting. You named off a bunch of the defensive guys that talk to the media. Usually that happens after a big game with the defense. The offense didn't have a great game, so maybe
you put up 45, you walk away. You only put up 13, get some sacks and turnovers, you're ready to talk.
They're no dummies. They're no dummies.
And we did talk to Bjorn Werner, and it's funny. He says the right things. I think he had to be. And I heard you guys talking earlier about how close he was. But at some point, you need to see the production, and just being close is not going to be. And that's always good to see. This kid approaches it the right way, and he knows that he's the guy that's got to be the one taking up the slack, and he understands why they drafted him, and he knows that. And like you said, when you're a pass rusher, it's about numbers. Yeah, pressure is nice and almost are nice, but you're judged on sacks. He has been close, but I think again, as we've talked, to replace Robert Mathis, it's going to take the entire defense. You're not going to get the one guy getting 12 or 13 sacks. Corey Redding's playing lights out. I think Eric Walden, who was a little more quiet yesterday, has played well. But Bjorn Werner needs to do it. You saw Sergio Brown. I like the way they're bringing safeties and sometimes corners from the slot to provide pressure. So when the offense doesn't know where it's coming from, it makes it tough for a blocker.
I thought it was interesting, Chap. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but after the game in the locker room, a lot of the veteran defensive guys were going up to Werner and patting him on the back and hugging him, and it's like, welcome to the club. This is your coming out game. And Corey Redding, who was really the vocal leader of that defense, he was one of the guys that was doing that. And I thought, you know what, that was a special moment for Werner as well.
Well, I think that's what I said. At some point, when the coaches are saying, well, he's close, he's doing the right things, you need to see it. You need to have something to really put your hands on. And they don't give bonuses and Pro Bowls to guys who lead the league in almost sacks. You need to get there. You need to make plays that make a difference, and that's what this game's all about: is making plays that make a difference. Get the guy down. I think you guys mentioned earlier. I think one of the best plays Sergio Brown made was a 3rd and 4, and he chases Force down one-on-one, and that's a play that you just have to make, because if you don't, it's a big gain. It keeps the drive going. I think that's what this team needs. They're starting to make them. Vontae Davis with a big interception. This game is all about plays that make a difference. When the time comes, do the little things. When the time comes, make that play that really turns the game around.
Yeah, and I mean, talking to offensive guys, I don't know if you talked to any today. We did rush for over 117 yards, which is like 30 yards more than they average giving up a game.
Fourth straight game, they've been over 100 yards. The Colts have been over 100 rushing yards.
400 yards of total offense. We threw for 317 yards again. We got down to the red zone 5 times. We scored twice, but that's 40%. But that's, 13% more than the Ravens were giving up in the red zone to begin with. So, I mean, there's some positives to take away from offense. Obviously, the turnovers are negative, but only giving up a sack and things like that. Any talk about how, Jonathan Harrison played at the center position?
No, he wasn't in there. Not a lot of offensive players, but I thought it's funny. We talked with Luck yesterday in the post game, and he's, those were communication mistakes or a couple of snaps.
Right.
He took it on himself, and Jonathan Harrison said, no, that's all on me, and it probably was. That's your quarterback taking the pressure off his rookie center, but I thought he played okay.
I agree.
I'm interested to see who the center. I'm interested to see who the center is on Thursday. I mean, I'm guessing they stick with him, but I think this was all a matchup issue where they just thought Jonathan Harrison, the bigger guy, bigger frame, bigger arms, longer arms, getting a better chance. But do you go back to A.Q. Shipley now? I don't know. I think that's the one thing that creates an issue on how you do things. So, it's one thing that it worked, but now moving forward, it's creating a distraction, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, when maybe there wasn't one. So we'll see how they do this going forward.
It's only an issue, though, and a distraction if the two players are making it a distraction or an issue. A.Q. Shipley, you haven't heard a word from him. He's both of them seem like a team guy. If my number's called, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to play the game, I'm going to play the best of my ability, and so be it. But
you got to know that AQ is steaming, because he's everybody wants.
He did nothing to lose the job, right, Mike?
That's what I'm saying. So he says, what? Now, if he was the weak link, this line was playing well. That's my only concern. Is players in the locker room know that you earn your way. Sometimes the top draft picks get a little more that cut more slack. But when you're playing well, you're supposed to be the guy starting. That's my only issue is from the eye test. Without seeing the old coach video,
right.
It didn't appear that AQ was doing anything to lose the job.
Right.
And you just wonder what kind of message that sends to the locker room when guys say, well, what's this all about? What did he do to lose the job? But that's something the coaches deal with, and moving forward, they'll do that.
Chap, I know you got to go. I think going back to Werner, basically it comes down to this. The fact that he's German, and it's October. Oktoberfest. He comes alive in the month of October.
There you go.
So there you go. Thanks a lot, Chap. We'll see you.
We'll go with that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Read much more of your stuff later this afternoon on the IndyChannel.com. Mike Chappell joining us from the Colts complex. Inside the numbers. You got something?
Sam Adams Oktoberfest is pretty good.
Really, it is pretty good. I bet they have it here at Palomino.
We're going to have to see.
We could probably work this out. Inside the numbers, and Stuart, you already talked about this. How about Baltimore? Just 1 of 11 on third down, 9% conversion rate, the best for the Colts defense in nearly 4 years. Colts with 117 rushing yards, 102 between Bradshaw and Trent Richardson. 4th straight game they go over 100. And Reggie Wayne moved into 9th place all time with 13,950 receiving yards. Passed Chris Carter yesterday. He's 54 yards shy of James Lofton for 8th all time. But how about 1 of 11? And how about Vontae Davis, who we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah.
I mean, he holds Steve Smith Sr. to 5 catches, 34 yards. This after Smith went off for 139 yards against Carolina the week previous.
Yeah, both the coverage of our defense and the pass rush really are complementing each other. When we're getting our coverage, it's giving those guys time to get to the quarterback. When we're getting to the quarterback, it's really helping those guys in the back end, not have to play that one-on-one coverage all over the field. I thought our secondary played phenomenal again. I mean, Greg Toller did it.
How much of it is the players? How much of it is the scheme
Both.
that Greg Minuski had?
It's both. Greg Minuski had a great defensive scheme yesterday. I thought the way he was manipulating.
Greg Minuski, the defensive coordinator.
For the Indianapolis Colts. The way he manipulated the players he had on the field, how he was using his linebackers, defensive linemen, third downs, his coverage. There was third downs that looked like man-to-man from the pre-snap coverage. We bring pressure from one side. We roll the coverage. It was on Vontae's interception. We roll the coverage to Torrey Smith's side, where Vontae got the interception, and we play zone on the backside, quarter, and we had guys that looked like they were bringing pressure and got out of the box. But we had, like I said, 1 defensive lineman, 4 linebackers. Dime coverage, you have to identify that as an offense. Who's my down guys? Who are the offensive line going to block? Who's the back responsible for? And that's all the confusion and the pressure that Greg Minuski can add to that and put on an opposing offense. And then you get those guys covering down the field as well as they do on some bad penalty calls on our secondary. And
some of them questionable. Some of them
questionable.
Some of them you just can't make. Reggie Wayne had a couple of penalties that could have turned the game.
Well, Reggie Wayne had a pass interference penalty on him in the end zone that was not called on Ladarius Webb. They said the feet got tangled. He blatantly just hit him from the back and knocked him down. That's what it gave us the ball on the 1-yard line. Instead, we got to kick a field goal. So a 7-point game in the fourth quarter could turn into an 11 or 14-point game. Just like that on a bad call on an official.
Suddenly we're getting backed up here. Anthony Castle is one of the chefs here. He wanted to ask a question, so whenever Anthony comes over, we're going to do that. But right now, though, let's head to the Skype lines. Brad Brown is standing by at an undisclosed location.
Oh, no.
So we're not quite sure what this means. He's got his Detroit Tigers hat. What happened to those Tigers?
I don't know. It went horribly wrong in Game 2. Really, Game 1 and Game 2. If they had only played 7 innings, the Tigers would have swept the series, I think.
All right. Yes, well, there you go. Undisclosed. This looks like your apartment. What are you taking the day off? What the heck here?
Yeah, it is a day off right now, and I had hoped to be at the Game 4 of the LDS today. We would have been pre-gaming in Hockey Town or maybe at Comerica Park. We would have been tailgating, something really festive at this point. Instead, I'm sitting here sulking and trying to figure out. I think I need a cappuccino like Sorgi's got there.
It's really good.
Hey, he stepped up. Sorgi stepped up. He's wearing a tie and he's got a cappuccino.
I know. I caught just a minute of the webcast before I flipped over here to the Skype channel, and he looks like he got up and got clean this morning. You and I not.
I barely shaved, and I'm lucky I'm wearing pants.
Yeah.
So there you go. Hey, what were your general observations about yesterday, Brad?
What impressed me the most when it was done was that you see Luck in these post-game press conferences. He had 312 yards. He had a couple TDs, ran one in, couple interceptions. by all intents and purposes, a pretty solid game for any NFL quarterback, and he's kind of ho-hum about the whole thing. He's looking for ways to fix this thing, always. And even on some of these games when he has a great day, he's always kind of pinning up on himself. There's just not a perfect game for him, and his strive to get something more out of that offense, whatever it is on any given day, impresses me a lot more each and every week. We know he's kind of way ahead of the game of a third-year quarterback, but he's got to feel that he's got a really good sense of how it feels to know that it's on him to make this thing go. And given the defense is putting together a performance like it did yesterday, the offense got enough out of it to get the win.
We're going to have more on Luck here in just a bit in our Monday afternoon quarterback. In fact, here it is right now. Luck yesterday, 32 of 49, 312 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. Picked up his second rushing touchdown of the season. Red zone efficiency, though, Jim, just 2 of 5. Goal to go efficiency, just 1 of 4. I mean, these are things that are going to be critical in close games down the stretch.
Well, I think he was happy with his numbers. Okay, the 2 interceptions he would like to take back. Obviously, they were both on the Ravens side of the territory, out of the field. One went inside the red zone. But I think he will be happy when they go 100% on third down and 100% in the red zone.
Right.
I mean, the team stats. He's not worried about individual stats. He could go 30% passing for 100 yards and no touchdowns. But as long as the team gets the win and they're doing things as a team, they're picking up third downs. They're, getting points on the board and scoring every time they get in the red zone. That's when an Andrew Luck will be happy. He's not worried about himself. He's worried about just the end result, the pinnacle, so to speak, and doing what's best for the team.
Let me ask you this, Jim, and Brad chime in on this too. Can a quarterback do too much at times? Let's go back to the second interception, the C.J. Mosley interception. He was rolling out. He had Ahmad Bradshaw wide open. Early.
Yes.
He sat on it for another 3 or 4 seconds, then decided to go to Ahmad when it's too late. Mosley comes up with the pick and runs it the other way. At times, you just got to either chuck it, run it out of bounds, or just accept defeat, if you will, on a certain play.
With Andrew Luck, you're going to take the good with the bad. Okay, you're going to take that interception because he also, on a play from the 15, stepped up in the pocket, nobody opened down the field, and runs the ball into the end zone for a touchdown.
13-yard touchdown. Yeah.
I mean, that's just you can't have it both ways all the time. Most of the time, he's really, really good, and he's going to make the right decision, I would say 80 to 90% of the time, on running the ball, getting down, throwing it away, living to play the next play. I think he was getting a little frustrated at the lack of efficiency in the red zone and was trying to make a play.
Try to force it a little bit.
And that you're going to take that from Andrew Luck because most of the time he's going to make the right decision. He's going to get the ball in the hands of the playmakers that are going to make plays, or he's going to run the ball and extend plays to the fact that it's going to be good for our offense. So you're going to take that once in a while interception down there like that because of what he can do 90% of the other time.
Brad, do you remember the 3rd and 9 play on the final drive the Colts had before the fumble? It was 3rd and 9 at the 27. Luck avoids the sack and then throws it downfield to Reggie Wayne, although it kind of looked like it was heading to Kobe, but Kobe then brings his arms back. Reggie picks it up. It was like a 28-yard play. I asked Luck after the game, so who were you throwing it to on that? He goes, I was throwing it to Kobe, but it was so poorly overthrown that Reggie got it. I mean, talk about luck in many ways, but that was a fun play.
I think it's funny, Luck's brain seems to work on a level that is so kind of beyond kind of what an average quarterback is, whatever that means, but his brain is always functioning so quickly. I think back to the interception he had last week against Jacksonville, if I remember right, late in the first half, that bad pick that he threw. We all knew it was a bad pass, but you could tell the whole time he's processing, trying to make every play work, trying to figure out kind of that last little element that can get something out of nothing so many times. And like Jim said, sometimes nothing is nothing, and that's just what it is. And you kind of made the same point, Dave. Sometimes you just got to kind of eat it, take the down, and kind of go on to the next one. But his brain operates so quickly, looking for that option C, D, E, F, G down the line right there, that he's able to come up with something like that and make plays just like the one you were talking about there.
What's on tap the rest of the day for you? Are you going to take a shower at all today? Are we going to get cleaned up?
Maybe a little bit. I'm thinking at some point I gotta put some food in my refrigerator, and I'm thinking a movie at some point today, perhaps a movie Monday. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds
Yeah, there's
phenomenal.
I was going to say, these days off people get.
You
The-
Skype, he Skype. I'm Skyping sometimes.
We're going to Skype for the Monday night game when we're in Jersey.
So we'll be working, but Skype.
It'll be kind of odd. We'll be doing it like this on a phone. And anyway,
Right.
hey, Brad, enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, boys.
All right, thank you. Brad Brown Skyping in from an undisclosed downtown
It's funny
location,
you mentioned that,
or his apartment.
that pass to Kobe, because on the broadcast with Bob Lamy, I said I'll give $5 to anybody who could tell me who was throwing that ball
Right.
to, because it did. But it was awkward because they were both kind of in the same area, and that's not supposed to happen on any passing play. You're supposed to kind of spread the field, but he did overthrow that ball to Kobe. Kobe jumped and then pulled his hand out, so that's why it made me think that maybe Kobe didn't think the ball was supposed to come in.
That's exactly the case.
Kind of pulled his hand down, but Reggie, why he was in that particular spot, but for a bad throw to Kobe, it was on the money to Reggie Wayne. I mean, you couldn't put it any better.
Well, I thought it was nice of Luck to kind of own up to
Admit
the
it?
fact
Oh,
that,
for
you know,
sure.
because if
I'd
I'm him,
never
I'm like,
admit to that.
yeah, I was going to Reggie.
Yeah. What was Kobe doing there?
What was he doing?
Kobe's not supposed to be there.
Well, to take it a step further, Kobe, because I asked him, I said, well, the two wide receivers in a span of 5 yards or so, he actually said that their offense is designed sometimes for that to happen, where two guys are crossing and whatnot, that sometimes you can get that close.
Well,
so,
I'm not sure exactly where Reggie started on the play.
Right.
Or whether he started on the right side or
by then it's almost a broken play, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Because
so.
I know Kobe came on the over route.
Right.
So if Reggie was running some kind of complementary route to what Kobe was doing, that makes sense. Maybe a post or something like that got held up, maybe a little bit of a jam from a defensive back or something, but it worked out. It couldn't have worked out any better.
Is he here? Is the chef here? You're going to go ask? Okay, because we got, the guy that makes the food at a restaurant, you want to be nice to. You want to be really
Always
nice to.
Nice to the people that prepare or serve your food.
I used to be a busboy. I'm right on top of that here. So, how you doing? Do you have a question?
I have a question.
Bob Selecki, who works here at RTV6, has a question. Go ahead, sir.
Now, is this the first question for Horseboy?
I think it is, actually.
All
yes.
right, all right.
Incredibly, yes.
Am I allowed to ask about an upcoming game?
Oh, no.
Well, yeah. That actually plays well into what's next.
All right. I
What's
want to
next,
know
ladies and
what's going
gentlemen?
to happen Thursday night. I'm excited because this is now looking like this is an early battle for the division.
I know, right?
What do you guys think? What's going to happen?
What's next? We have the Houston Texans, who just played Dallas. Go ahead and throw up the score here, Seth. Cowboys beat the Texans yesterday, 2017 in overtime. Texans overcame the Cowboys overcame a 10-point deficit in the final 2.5. They forced overtime anyway. Houston falls to 3-2. Dallas 4-1.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I thought they were gone and dead after week one.
Yeah. I mean,
Tony Romo.
Tony Romo. Des Bryant makes the plays. But why that team is playing so well? DeMarco Murray. Anytime you get a running game and get a guy that's rushing over 100 yards, 4 straight games, he's carrying that team.
Speaking of running games, Arian Foster, fantasy football superstar, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the quarterback of the Texans, just 154 yards and a pick. Andre Johnson, 58 yards, second fastest receiver to go over 950 catches for his career. By the way, he's trying to beat Marvin Harrison for second fastest to go over 13,000 yards, so that might happen Thursday night. Where did Selecki go? He just left the show. Bob was here asking a question and he just walked away.
He was done with us.
What happened?
Yeah, he's going.
Really?
He's going. He's running. Don't mess with the
Bob
patrons
Selecki,
now, Bob.
who's also running the cameras, the lights.
Sorry, guys. I was going to be one of those
What was the
callers.
question? I'm sorry. Yes.
I was just going to be one of those callers that just
Yeah,
asked a
hang
question
up.
and then didn't hang up.
First time caller, and I'll hang up and listen to
First
you.
time, long time.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm expecting an exciting game. I heard Chappie say about, he talks about the game plan. Well, it's going to be narrowed down a little bit, but the Colts coaches have been working on this game plan for a little while. They probably anticipated a Thursday night game, so they probably worked on it a little bit last week, Friday after all the players leave, a little bit on Saturday. So it'll be definitely a lesson game plan. It'll be kind of what we do and just execute. Go down there and play the Houston Texans tough. It's always a good game down there. I remember last year we had to come back and win that ball game. But I'm expecting a better Houston Texans team than last year. Ryan Fitzpatrick still turning the ball over. He has 6 interceptions on the year to 5 touchdowns, but their defense is playing well. He's not hurting them to the point where they're throwing interceptions at a return for 6s like a lot of the quarterbacks they had last year, Matt Schaub and those guys. Jadeveon Clowney being out is definitely going to help our offense. You only really got to focus on one defensive lineman, that's J.J. Watt, who will line up all over the field. That's what makes him so dangerous. But I think You know, if our defense go out there and shut down their playmakers, your DeAndre Hopkins, your Garrett Graham at tight end, your Andre Johnson, your Arian Foster, not give him 157 yards and 2 touchdowns, I don't think Ryan Fitzpatrick will be able to win the game through the air. So I would take away the Houston Texans run game. Offensively, just do what we do. And that, you know, I tried to establish a run on those guys. I know where J.J. Watt is. But don't try to do too much. Just go out there and execute what we know how to do, and I think we'll come out of there with a win. And what's nice about this win, after we get it, you get 10 days off to prepare for the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's the good thing about playing Thursday. You get 10 days off afterwards.
If you win.
It's the hell you got to go through to turn around and if you win, exactly.
If you lose, it's 10 days of, God, we lost that game.
Who do you like, Bob, on Thursday night?
I like the Colts, but if we can hold Arian Foster to under, 350 yards, I think he's had some pretty good games against the Colts.
We don't need any Maurice Jones-Drew games against the Colts.
That too.
Soon,
He's one of those guys that gets dinged up, too. I mean, you know, he's carried the ball a lot this season so far. He's missed a little bit of time already this season. So if the Colts get after him, put a good defensive game plan together like I know Mineski will, and we hit Arian Foster, take away the run. So I think you'll see a lot of stacked boxes from our defense and make Ryan Fitzpatrick throw the ball, because I do think he'll give us some opportunities to get some interceptions.
I think we have a new segment on the show. Bob's Take, everyone, on
All
the
right.
Colts Texans. Well done, by the way.
Oh,
really.
thank you. I'm going to do some homework next week.
Oh, wait, you'd be the first one of this 3 to do it. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Nice job.
All right,
Bob
thanks.
Selecki,
Thanks,
ladies and
Bob.
gentlemen, asking Bob's Take here on Horseplay live from Palomino. Do want to bring up one thing. I thought this was an interesting stat. Tough enough to turn around and play on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
Even tougher when you're the road team.
Which we are most of the time.
Which seemingly we are most of the time. But anyway, even this season, road teams 1-3 on Thursday nights. Pittsburgh lost to Baltimore back in week 2, 26-6. Tampa lost to Atlanta. The Giants beat Washington on the road. That's the only time this has actually worked out well for the visiting team. And Minnesota
Packers.
lost to the Packers. Yeah.
Well, one thing we do know, hopefully, if this is a blowout Thursday night game like they've been all season, hopefully the Colts are blowing out the Texans.
Right.
If it's not, hopefully it'll be a better game, you know, and the Colts will end up winning in the long run. But if it is going to be a blowout, I'll take a Colts blowout any day.
If Jim Nance is sleeping in the fourth quarter on the broadcast,
We're in good shape.
We're in good shape. By the way, take a look at the AFC South standings, and obviously a huge game Thursday night, as it is for the division lead in the South. Tennessee now 1-4, and Jacksonville.
Yeah, they're bringing up the barrel.
Is Jacksonville. All right. You're going to be on the broadcast on the radio side coming up Thursday, heading to Dallas early for a few things.
Yeah, heading to Dallas today, actually.
Nice.
I know. I'll be there for a few days. Got a little work to do while I'm down there, and then I'll meet up with the team on Wednesday when they get there in Houston.
Yeah.
And we'll get ready for the Houston Texans, which will be, I really do think it'll be a really good Thursday night game. I don't think anybody's going to blow anybody out. Our strengths are their strengths, so it'll be kind of a battle of strengths.
Right.
But I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see J.J. Watt play, see this team do a short week and get a big win in the AFC South and kind of emerge as the first place in the South.
Enjoy the game. We'll be listening to the
Thanks,
radio
Bob.
broadcast.
I
We'll see you
appreciate
back
that.
here next Monday.
Yes,
all right.
I
Once
will be
again,
here.
we're going to get some food too, some lunch served to us, because we got to get the chef on
what
next
happened to the
next
chef?
Monday. He's working. Look at the crowd here in
He's working.
Palomino. You know, he's working here. Anyway, for Jim Sorgi, great job. We'll see you back here next Monday. Mike Chappell, the Colts Complex. Brad Brown Skyping in from parts unknown. Week 5 Horseplay. Thanks for watching. We're back here next Monday. Same time, same internet channel, theindychannel.com and the RTV6 app. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tonight at 5 o'clock. More Colts coverage as they get ready for Houston.